Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about writing a program where we have an if condition that uses both and as well as or. So let's take a look at this program here where the requirement says write a program to ask the user to enter the number of computers the user wants to purchase and assume that each computer costs $2,000. If the user is buying 3 or more computers, here, this is the condition. So you need to decide on the discount that you need to give. Your program will calculate the discount based on few conditions here. What is the condition? Condition is that the user is buying 3 or more computers, number one. And the user occupation is either teacher, military, or firefighter. So this is the condition that you're going to use to calculate the discount. So first of all, you have to ask, what data do I need to collect from the user? So anytime you're trying to solve the problem, always ask, number one, as we said, what data do I need to collect from the user? And what calculations do I need to do? So here, what data are you collecting from the user? You want to ask the user to enter the number of computers. So user is going to type a number of computers. You need a cell for that. And let's call that cell as computer count. So this cell is, I'm going to use this cell, and the name of the cell is computer count. And what am I going to use this for? To collect the number of computers the user wants to buy. And assume that each computer costs $2,000. If the user is buying 3 or more computers and the user occupation is either one of these, that means you also need to collect from the user the occupation. So write a program to ask the user to enter the number of computers and the user's profession. You are collecting from the user. So then once you collect the required data, so I'm collecting the computer count into this cell, and then I'm collecting from the user the profession into this cell. And then as you see, each computer costs $2,000. So once I collect the computer count, I'm going to take what is here, I'm going to multiply it with $2,000, put the result into this cell, total cost. And then based on what is in this as well as what is in this, I need to calculate the discount. Remember that. In order to calculate the discount, I need to see what is in the computer count and what is in the profession. If the computer count has the value more than 3 computers, if the user is buying more than 3 computers, and if the profession, if this memory cell here contains either teacher or military or firefighter, then you're going to give 20% discount of the total price. So always write the English instructions in plain English. Ask the user to enter the number of computers, and whatever the user types will go into, obviously, this cell here. And the next thing is calculate the total cost by multiplying the number of computers by 2,000. So total cost is this. How do I calculate that? You take whatever is here, multiply that by 2,000 and put the result into this cell over here. That's how you calculate the total cost. Then you ask the user to enter the profession. The user is going to type in the profession, and which cell are you going to use to collect the profession? That cell. And once you gathered all the information from the user, the number of computers and the profession, and you have done the calculation, and you put a simple if condition here. And here in this if condition, you are checking if the number of computers is greater than or equals to 3. That's one condition there. And the profession is either one of these. That is the second condition. So if I have to highlight these with the different colors, so I'll use, let's say, different colors here. So there are 2 conditions here. One is you are checking to see if the number of computers is greater than or equals to 3. And the second condition is if the profession is either one of them. If both conditions is true, then you calculate as a discount as total cost times 0.20. That's 0.20 translates to 20%. And then at the end, you display the discount amount, calculate the total cost by subtracting the discount, and then display the total cost. So this is what our instructions in plain English that you need to write first. As a beginning programmer, you have to do this. And then the next step is translate each one of those instructions into Python language instruction. So now in the first instruction says, ask the user to enter the number of computers. And I've got here the instruction. This is the instruction that's been translated from this plain English. This is the plain English instruction, and this is the Python instruction. And in response to this, whatever the user types arrives in your computer into this memory cell. And then the next step says, right here, calculate the total cost by multiplying the number of computers by 2000. You see here, this is what I'm doing. I'm taking what is in the computer count. Where did we get the computer count? Whatever the user typed over here, right? That's sitting in this memory cell or variable. So I'm taking what is in that memory cell, multiplying it by 2000, and putting the result back into a cell called total cost. And then the next instruction, you ask the user to enter the profession as it's suggested over here. And in response to this, the user is going to type the profession, and whatever the user types will arrive into that memory cell. And then start off with a discount as 0. And then you see the first condition I got, checking to see if the number of counter is greater than or equals to 3. Translate that into a Python instruction. That's your first condition. Now, the second condition is this. Checking to see, you have to check to see if the profession is either teacher, military, or firefighter. And that's what I have here. Profession, don't forget to put the double equal sign, is either teacher or profession is military, profession is firefighter. And basically, these are two conditions, right? One condition is this, the other condition is this. But other condition itself can be broken down into smaller conditions. So that's why you need to put a parenthesis around it. So depending on where the parenthesis is placed, you're going to get a different result. So from your point of view, all of this is one condition. But when you type this one big condition into Python, you need to break this into 3 smaller conditions. And in this if condition, you are grouping these conditions. You are saying that is one condition, and then you are telling the computer group all of these, or in other words, treat all of these as one condition. So in other words, if any one of these is true, then this condition will become true. As you remember, we discussed about this in our earlier example where we talked about OR, and we talked about the truth table about the OR. So once that is, if this condition is true, and if one of these condition is true, then that person qualifies for a discount. Then you calculate the discount at 20%, and then you do the final calculation. So if I had to run it really quick, so I'm going to put a breakpoint over here, and it's running the wrong program. Close that, close this. So I want to run this. So pay attention here what program you're running by hovering over this, and make sure you have the debugging turned on and run it. How many computers are you purchasing? Let's say I want to purchase 4 computers. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here. What happened? Why it did not break? Let's put a breakpoint here one more time. Run it from there. 4 computers. There you go. So now you see it already calculated the total cost because we did not put a breakpoint. It zipped through that. And in the next instruction, you are telling the computer to display this message and collect the profession. And boom, it's going to ask the profession. Let's say I'm going to type teacher, and starting value of discount is 0. So do you think this condition is true? The first condition, yes, 4 is greater than 3. And the second condition over here says teacher. Is this going to be true? Yes. What about this condition? That's going to be false. What about the other condition? This is false. Since we have grouped, we have told a computer to treat all of these as one condition. Why? How did I tell the computer to treat all of these as one condition? By putting a parenthesis around it. So we told the computer to treat it as one condition now with a bunch of ORs in between. Now, see, if one of these is true, then the whole thing becomes true. So since the profession is teacher, so the first condition is true, the computer doesn't even bother checking other conditions because, as you know, if one is true, the whole thing becomes true. Now it's going to reach discount as 20%. then now here it's going to calculate total cost. As you see, using the accumulation, we calculated total cost equals to total cost minus discount, and then it's going to display the total cost. So now let's run it one more time so that where the condition is false. Let's say I type the number of computers is 6, and it's going to ask for the profession. Let's say I type the profession as, let's say, lawyer. So lawyers don't get a discount. I don't know why in our program. So here now, what do you think is going to happen? Is this condition true? Yes, 6 is greater than 3. What about this? This is going to be false. This is going to be false. That is also going to be false. Since all of these are false, this group now becomes false. And then, but this is true, and you know how the AND works. In AND, if one of them is false, then the whole thing becomes false. As a result, it's going to skip through. You see, it skipped through the discount. So now it says the discount earned is 0, and then that's it. And you calculate the total cost and then display that. So what we learned here is how to, in an if condition, how can we combine OR with AND? So be very careful here. So if you group these, right, if you put something like this, right, you're going to get a whole different results here. So now this computer is going to treat this as one group and this as another group, which is further broken down into 2 different conditions. So again, it all depends on how you group this. The results depend on how you group this. So be careful when you group these things. So I'm going to put it back the way it was. So in the next video, we talked about if else. So far we have talked about if conditions. We talked about using the boolean operators and combining the boolean operators and or. In the next video, we'll give you an introduction to if else. So, but before that, there is a syntax error here. Oh, here, there is an additional. Okay, there you go. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.